The Tokyo Games are coming. Now WSAV, your home for the Olympics, is proud to bring you this special presentation. WSAV's Olympics Then and Now. Brought to you locally by Coastal Home.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Edward Moody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Over the next half hour, we're bringing you the Olympic stories of then and now. But first, we want to give you a live look at the Olympic Athletes Village on the Harumi waterfront in Tokyo, where it's lunchtime there, just a little past lunchtime at this hour. We begin with the weightlifter who's been called the LeBron James of his sport. He also happens to be a low country resident, and he's been lifting since he was 11 years old. WSAV News 3's Andrew Davis introduces us to CJ Cummings.
I am Team USA.
And 21-year-old CJ Cummings may be the U.S. men's weightlifting team's best chance at a medal, something they haven't won since 1984.
To be able to be this young and being on a team is just, it's a good feeling.
CJ's journey has been a decade in the making, starting at 11 when he lifted double his body weight.
I did double body weight. I was weighing 45 kilos and I cleanly jerked 90 kilos. And I was the younger ever to do it.
He won Best Overall Lifter at just 13 at the Pan American Games and became the first person ever to win 4 straight Junior World Championships, starting at 16.
This is my 11th year, so it's just like, this is just crazy thinking like, it took like this long to get here, and it's just like, I'm like finally here at this moment in time, getting to represent my country.
After a Pan Am gold medal last year, this pocket dynamo, 5'2", 73 kilos or 160 pounds, is a 23-time American record holder, holds 3 world records in the snatch, clean and jerk and overall, and is still the youngest lifter on Team USA. He even has endorsement deals.
But if you have what it takes, so do we.
And his own shoe.
It's pretty cool. I mean, there's some people now that says like they got early Christmas gift and they're putting it on Instagram with my shoe, and I'm just like, that's my shoe. I'm just laughing at it.
Despite its success, CJ remains humble and focused. He says his biggest competition is himself.
What, 95% of the time it's just like me versus me, so that's what I really like, when you do beat yourself, you actually feel real good about it. You feel confident.
And when he goes out there to lift weight never seen before for a man his size, like the 156 kilos or 343 pound snatch record he holds, he's thinking about.
Believe it or not, I think about anything else besides lifting. So like, I would be thinking about what I'm going to eat tonight, like later that night, or what I'm going to do the next day.
Right now, what he is thinking about is Tokyo and trying to have his best day on the biggest stage of all at the Olympic Games.
All your hard work pays off. You just put in hours and hours and hours in the gym, and then finally going in and beat your personal record is just like a big sign of like relief and just like, yes, I accomplished something major. People walk away with, definitely an experience, and I would say definitely more exposure to myself and the sport of weightlifting.
That's not a medal, though.
No, it's medal too, yeah, medal too.
Andrew Davis, WSAV News 3, on your side.
CJ will begin competing in Tokyo on July 28th. He tells us he eventually wants to pursue a career in acting, hopefully making it to the big screen one day. We can't wait to see it. Well, one of Savannah's own will be front and center during the weightlifting competition. Cheryl Haworth is a 3-time Olympian and 2000 bronze medalist. She will be one of NBC's commentators for the competition. Haworth says she hopes to bring her spirit for Team USA to the broadcast. And while history books highlight the victories of athletes like Wilma Rudolph, Carl Lewis, and Usain Bolt, less attention has been given to Wyoming Tyus, who made her mark in track and field. She was the first U.S. Olympian to win back-to-back gold medals in the 100 meters. The Georgia native put her state on the map during the height of the civil rights movement. She's also the aunt of WSAV's own Tina Tyus Shaw. As Tina tells us, 53 years later, her aunt is still using her voice to empower athletes.
In 1964, at the age of 19, Wyoming Tyus ran under legendary coach Ed Temple at Tennessee State University. She qualified to represent Team USA in the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo. Wyoming was considered a neophyte next to favorite and teammate and best friend Edith McGuire, whom she ran against regularly. Wyoming was not expected to be the winner.
Mr. Temple said, great job, Tyus. People try all of your lives and can't make an Olympic team. Your first time out, make an Olympic team. We don't expect anything from you. And I went, okay, Mr. Temple, thank you.
And they're off to the fair start. Koblakowska, very good start. Tyus is out in front now. Tyus for the United States.
When that gun went off, I went off, and everybody else. And as I was running, I get to about 70 meters, and I'm like, where's Edith? So, and I kept going, where is she? Because she's usually right here passing me at this point. In my head, I'm thinking this, but I'm saying, okay, stay relaxed, just lift knees. All the things Coach Temple has said to us. And at 80 meters, I tell her right now today, I could smell you coming. I could hear you coming. And at 80 meters there, she was there, and she come running up, you did it, Tyus. I said, I did? I'm like, oh my.
Were you shocked?
Very. Yeah, because I was looking for her to win. I was like, gosh, I got a gold medal, isn't that something? On my first time out, and I went to go see Mr. Temple.
In 1968, she won back-to-back gold in the 100 meters, setting the world record in Mexico City at 11 seconds flat. She also won gold as her 4x100 relay team set a world record of 42.8 seconds. Following her exit from the track and field arena, she moved to Los Angeles, where she pursued her love for nature as an outdoor educator.
These are my medals.
I recently visited Wyoming at her LA home, where she reflected on her life and journey.
You know, I look back at it and I said, I didn't know I was poor. People tell me now that was being poor, but to me, we had all the things that we wanted, all the things we needed.
Her story began in Griffin, Georgia, on a dairy farm. Her dad was a sharecropper, and her mother worked at a dry cleaner's. In high school, she played basketball and ran track. That's when her talents were discovered by Hall of Fame track coach Ed Temple at a high school meeting in Fort Valley, Georgia, and Temple wanted her to try out for his team at Tennessee State.
That's when he invited me to come up for that summer. When he asked me would I be interested, it was like, I think so.
I'm at the Los Angeles Coliseum, where at age 17, Wyoming competed in the AAU championship. How well did you perform here?
I won all my races. I mean, it was a girls' division, so I ran 100, the 75, and the 50, and I won all three of those. And I also got an opportunity to run with the big girls, as they would say.
This is the very place in 1984 where she, among several others, carried the Olympic flag for the Summer Games.
Well, it was the first time ever they even had athletes to bring in an Olympic flag. It's usually brought in by some others, and so it was very historical. So it seems like I'm always in the historical moment of my lives, and the first time for certain things to happen, and so it was, you know, it was great doing that.
And those historical events helped shape the legacy that lives on long after her Olympic gold moments.
Well, she's even written a book, Tiger Bell, the Wyoming Tyus story. Make sure to stick with WSAV throughout the Olympic Games to hear more about Wyoming Tyus's journey. Well, during the 1960 Summer Olympic Games held in Rome, Italy, the U.S. women's 4x100-meter relay team made history. All of the women on the team were African American, representing our nation during the height of the civil rights movement. The anchor of the team was champion sprinter Wilma Rudolph, but what many people don't know is that the historic handoff to Rudolph during that race was made by Savannah native Lucinda Williams-Adams. Williams-Adams recently returned to Woodville-Tompkins High School, where she once trained. She says she remembers that historic victory like it was yesterday.
As I see the video, and I know how we had to train and prepared for it, it was just wonderful because, as I've always said, I knew even though we had a mistake in the passing of the baton, that once I got that baton in her hand, then we were going to get that gold medal.
Your life would not.
And keep watching WSAV throughout the Olympics as our own Tina Tyus Shaw will continue to tell Lucinda Williams-Adams' story. Still to come, we're introducing you to a low-country Olympian making history. The weightlifter who's proudly representing her country is next. A low-country woman is making history in Tokyo this year. Mahasin Fatou will be the first ever women's weightlifter from Lebanon. WSAV News 3's Andrew Davis has her story.
I was like so I'm going. And my husband's like, yeah, you're going. And I'm like, are you sure? And like I went back to folding laundry.
That's how Mahassan Halafatu reacted when she officially found out she was headed to the Olympics. The first ever women's weightlifter from Lebanon kept her emotions in check that day, something she'll try to do again when she first steps foot on the Tokyo stage.
You know, I got to make this lift or I'm going to like disappoint this child who's watching me on TV. Like, it's just kind of stuff that I'll worry about that later. And like for now, I'll just focus on what I'm doing and do the best I can.
Already winning medals in both the Arab and Asian championships, this 31-year-old woman who lives in Yemisi, trains in Beaufort, says the Olympics are just another competition, just bigger.
I've heard, you know, there's like young girls in Lebanon who kind of look up to me for what I'm doing, which is really exciting and only a little bit of pressure to do well. But, you know, I've just been very overwhelmed by the support.
Coach Ray Jones says he sees her having success wherever she is, proud of her for just getting this far.
I know personally that people had told her before, it's like, well, you need to maybe go think about finding another dream. To a young person, somebody has said that to her, okay? And for her to just continue with that dream and that goal of doing it, it's just so special.
Hala's special journey to the Games has now garnered her headlines and attention from around the Arab world.
Try to break those stereotypes of like it's not a man's sport. Obviously it's not, because there's a whole team of women. Like, I'm not the only woman weightlifter at the Olympics. Like, there's 100+ of us.
She says she doesn't expect a medal, just wants to make that first lift and possibly set a personal best.
It's kind of easy to tune out, or it has been in the past, to tune out what it is. And then, like, I can think about it later that it was the World Championship. So I'm kind of hoping that's how this will go. Just, you know, focus on the job that I have to do, which is to pick the bar up with whatever weight is on it that, you know, my coach decides, and we'll go from there.
She hopes to go back to Lebanon after the Games to see family, to speak to the people, and let everyone see that anything is possible.
Right now it's as a sportswoman, but hopefully there will be more to that, you know, in the future. Near future, if we're lucky.
In Beaufort, Andrew Davis, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Hala is just one of 6 people from Lebanon competing at the Olympics. She'll be going for the gold on August 1st. After the Games, she says she plans to train for the World Championships. A former Lowcountry resident is also going for the gold this year. Nia Tapper started her rugby career in 2012 and started for Team USA's Sevens Eagles in 2016. This will be her first chance to compete for the U.S. in the Olympics. She'll be counted on to use her speed and size to lead her team toward a medal, all while making a name for the sport. Well, the 1996 Olympics left marks that are still visible today. Most of them are in the Atlanta metro, but a few can be seen in Savannah. WSAV's sports director Andrew Goldstein found one of them right next to Memorial Stadium.
A gym once made for Olympians.
We had hundreds of teams, thousands of athletes, both Olympic weightlifting and Paralympic weightlifting.
Now open to everyone.
One of the things that the commissioners wanted to see in Georgia and Chatham County was they not only wanted a facility, they didn't want people from Chatham County, kids, to have to go somewhere else to get world-class coaching.
Michael Cohen was the first director of the Anderson Cohen Weightlifting Center during the run-up to the '96 Olympics.
Nobody's technique is perfect.
A position he still holds today.
Having something that was part of the Olympics in '96 is still here today, still being supported by the county that runs and manages the facility is a great honor.
But Cohen's Olympic memories go back much further than Atlanta, to his time on the 1980 American squad that boycotted the Moscow Games.
Once you are designated Olympian, you're Olympian for life. So you have the distinction, you have the honor.
Right next to the photos of Michael are pictures of his father, Howard, a national champion lifter that lends his name to the gym.
My father coached me in the weight room. I was no longer his son, I was his athlete. And outside the weight room, I'm no longer the athlete, I was his son.
The Anderson Cohen Center allows Michael to offer that same opportunity he received to people across Chatham County.
In this facility, we have them as young as 5 years old that work out. Now, it's under the auspice of a world-class coach, people that know what they're doing.
With enough time and training, Someone in this gym might lift themselves up to Team USA, just as Michael did all those years ago.
In addition to competing on Team USA, Cohen coached the women's weightlifting team in the 2000 and 2004 Olympic Games. And still ahead, a former Olympian overcoming obstacles. One man's inspiring journey to the 2000 Olympic Games is coming up. Welcome back. As you watch the Summer Games, you'll learn the stories behind the athletes and the obstacles they faced. Tonight, WSAV News 3's Patty Turner introduces us to another former Olympian who's the perfect example of the American spirit.
Carrying the Olympic flag in the Sydney Olympic Games for the United States was just one of the most incredible honors.
An honor given to Cliff Meidel by his fellow teammates when he competed on the U.S. rowing team in 2000.
And I remember taking this deep breath, and I turned around and I looked over my shoulder behind me. The only thing that I can see was a sea of red, white, and blue. You know, a lot of Olympians win gold medals. That definitely was my gold medal experience at the time.
Incredible as it was to represent the U.S. by competing at the Olympics and carrying the U.S. flag, Cliff says this is not what defined him, what made him who he is today. He says it was something much darker. On November 19th, 1986, Cliff was doing construction work using a jackhammer when the unthinkable happened.
And then as I was working on the site, within like 30 seconds, lights went out. I couldn't tell you if I was dead or alive. I ended up jackhammering into this concrete area, and I ended up striking 3 power lines beneath the ground, and each one of them had 4,160 volts. So I received one heck of an electrical shock.
Cliff's heart actually stopped. Firefighters were able to revive him, but the electricity caused even more damage.
Like that, electricity is chaotic. It burns from the inside out, so it finds various different points of weakness, and that's what it did. I ended up having a couple of toes blown off on my right foot. I had big exit wounds on my left and right shoulder compartments.
Cliff lost a third of his knee compartment in both legs. No one was sure that he would ever walk again. But after 15 surgeries to rebuild his legs, he defied the odds. He not only walked again, he went on to compete at the highest level, the Olympics.
My mother's theory is that, well, I guess you can't kill a weed, right? You're here for a reason.
And that reason to him is very clear: to inspire others.
Going through adversity, I can tell you, number one, you don't need to worry about how you're going to get over it. It's all about the belief. You got to believe in your heart. Any type of adversity that we face in life, it's all about managing challenges. If you can manage shortfalls and challenges, you can accomplish anything you want in life, because that's what it is. If you get knocked down, you got to get back up. If you can't climb the mountain, you got to find a way around it.
Meidel is now encouraging others to stay safe. He is now the spokesperson for GA 811, a nonprofit dedicated to preventing damage to Georgia's underground utilities. Coming up, one Georgia community is honoring their local Olympic hero. It's been 7 years since Alice Coachman, the first black woman to win a gold medal, passed away. But her legacy still lives on in Georgia. WSAV sports reporter Connor Delpreet visited her hometown to see how one school is honoring her life.
No one has worked at Alice Coachman Elementary longer than Wilhelmina Caleb.
From the ground up, brick and mortar.
21 years of memories. Few stand the test of time, quite like the moment she met the woman this school is named after.
I guess you can call it starstruck at first.
Coachman, the first black woman to win an Olympic gold medal, often visited this school in her hometown of Albany to read to the kids.
She was always so proud to just come in here, and she would just look up and, you know, her eyes, probably like she was when she was at the Olympics. To see her name up, her pictures up, she loved it.
Much like she blazed a trail for black athletes in the late 40s.
Okay, you got it. Good job.
Coachman still serves as an inspiration for these students, even after her passing in 2014.
You can do this. There's nothing that you can't do if you don't put your mind to it. And when you see that that happened to a little girl that grew up in the same neighborhood as you're in now, become famous, become an athlete. And she did what she could for the community as well.
This summer,
An Olympics summer is an extra special one. Students run around the track with a torch, an homage to Coachman. They're encouraged to play sports. Staff want to revive a track program post-COVID. Her books are displayed everywhere. Coachman is simply part of the curriculum.
We put Alice Coachman up there as one of the role models that they exemplify. And not only because she got out of Albany, but because she came back.
Born in 1923, Coachman cleared massive hurdles on and off the track. This generation may not face the same trials and tribulations.
Okay, Seth.
But they still have a host of people in their corner right here at school.
The longer that I'm here, the more I realize that these children here need us, to encourage them to be like an Alice Coachman, to encourage them.
And if Caleb is the one who ever needs that extra motivation to reach these kids, she doesn't have to look far.
We can all, be whatever we put our minds to be. Circumstances won't dictate, your accomplishments and your progression in life. So you can do, what you put your mind to.
Coachman's gold medal from the 1948 London Games remains a defining moment in Team USA's Olympics history. You can watch this year's high jump final Saturday, August 7th, right here on WSAV. And for all of the Olympic stories of then and now that we brought you tonight and more on other athletes going for the gold, visit WSAV.com/Olympics. Well, that's our time for now. Be sure to stay with News 3 on air and online for continuing coverage of the Olympic Games in Tokyo. Have a good night.